And feudalism is so much better than what we have now, because at least in feudalism, the leader is vested in the prosperity of the people he rules.
Okay, guys, up next, we are going to talk about the Tucker Carlson podcast, which is going off the rails and getting extremely weird. In particular, we're going to react to a couple clips from a recent interview Tucker did with Aaron McIntyre, who I'm not really very familiar with, but I think he's affiliated with The Blaze, and he's maybe like a Christian nationalist type. Regardless, this interview was very strange. Obviously, you know, Tucker is traditionally conservative, and his podcast is more like right-wing media, but the ideas in here expressed in these clips are very weird and also like kind of anti-American to their core. But I without further ado, I guess I'll just show you the first clip I want to chat about here, where they appear to suggest that America is not really a particularly free country, except for, I don't know. Listen.
A political formula is the way in which your rulers justify their power. In China, their political narrative is very different. But the United States, it is built on this idea of we are a free society. We are a society that, at the very least, allows you every libertine desire that you have, right? And
as much sodomy as you want.
Right, exactly, yeah. Not the right to live where you want, next to the people you want to. No right to form a religious community, but the freedom of sodomy for sure.
Yeah.
Freedom to purchase a small child if you'd like.
I'm sorry. What the actual heck did I just listen to? So first you have these conservative patriots talking about seemingly China in like, well, you know, they got this different idea. In America, are we really free? You're sure free if you want to do sodomy. Oh, actually, America is free in a lot more ways than just that, even though that is an objectively good way, actually. It is actually good that the government does not send police into people's bedrooms, both gay and heterosexual, and then arrest them or fine them or otherwise punish them based on the particulars of their sexual activity. That's actually good. That's actually kind of part of basic human freedom. And if you somehow think otherwise, then that is very strange and remarkably authoritarian, actually. And the other idea that lists like, you know, you're free to do all the sodomy you want in the world. These people spend so much time on the internet. They are in such a weird echo chamber or like niche place. But you are not free to live where you want, live next to who you want, or build your own religious communities. You are literally free to do all of those things in America. You may absolutely live wherever you want. I mean, there's some financial constraints with that, but if you want to move to Idaho, you can. Nothing's stopping you. If you want to move to New York City or a different borough of New York, you can literally move where you want. Now, if what you mean by like you can't live next to who you want, you kind of can live next to who you want. I mean, you can buy a house in a certain neighborhood. You can buy a house across the street from your brother. Like, if what you mean is that you can't literally legally have like whites only neighborhoods, okay, is that like your basic test of human freedom? That's not mine, actually. I actually think like racial segregation was bad, but and then this idea that like you can't build a religious community in America. I do think there are some threats to religious liberty, like attempts to persecute religious individuals or business owners through anti-discrimination laws and the like, and I object to that, but nothing is stopping you. There are flourishing churches and synagogues and parishes across the country from building a religious community. Like that, it's not that there's no issues or there's no like cultural, you know, conflict between woke ideas and religion, but when you frame it like this, it is basically you're no longer free to even have a church community in America. It's like, what are you talking about? Do you go outside? Do you look around? Lots of people still do that. It is not, in fact, illegal to build a religious community. It's maybe difficult due to social trends, but it's still very much possible and happening every single day all across America. Some of these people, they almost sound like the snowflakes or the social justice warriors. They want to be victims. Like they want to imagine a world where modern America is like viciously oppressive to them, even though it isn't. And this other thing, it's like, oh, you're only free to pursue sodomy. Oh, yo. you're actually free to express yourself in America because of the First Amendment. You're free to practice your religion because of the First Amendment, more so than in most countries and in most parts of the world, and more so than most human civilizations in human history, actually. You are free to own firearms. You are free to start a business, work in whatever line of work you would like, dress however you would please. Like, you are remarkably free in modern America. And there are threats to that freedom that are very real, but you cannot act like, oh, the only freedom left in America these days is just the rights of gay people to have sex. You sound deranged. You sound completely out of touch with reality. And like, I really don't know what is happening to Tucker, because he just keeps going into these kinds of strange territories. I mean, later in this podcast, these pro-America patriots actually seem to suggest that they want a king in America. Take a listen to this next clip.
At some point, when the regime decides, actually, we're against crime and we do have to have real borders, and like, I don't know, we care about drugs and we don't want the society to like collapse completely, that's when you'll know they have complete totalitarian control.
Or they recognize that the utility of destroying the country is coming to an end.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because at that point, they'll feel like, okay, we own this completely, so why wreck it? It's our house now.
Yes. And this is how again, this is the classic principle of actually how you get a king, right? Because they're generationally invested in the well-being of the land they're ruling, the people they're ruling, and they have the power to control the outcomes there. So if you actually care about that, if you're actually going to benefit, why not invest your control in actually producing a better population?
I completely agree. I mean, feudalism is so much better than what we have now, because at least in feudalism, the leader is vested in the prosperity of the people he rules.
Right.
You know, if all your serfs die, you starve.
Yeah, there's a true incentive to care for those people. Now, again, that also exists in a republic if properly managed. But as we've noted, we're well beyond the requirements that even our founders laid out for a functional Republican government.
Did I hit the crack pipe before coming on this podcast today? Like, did I mix up my medications and take something stronger? Did I accidentally like eat some edibles? Maybe. What is going on? Where am I right now? I'm listening to a very prominent right-wing conservative podcast say some of the most strange and bizarre and fundamentally anti-American things I have ever heard, that are also just like incoherent and wrong. I am open to the idea that America's current leaders in our democratic republic system do not always advocate for the best interests of the people. 100%. But this idea that they are all like evil and intentionally want to destroy the country, I think is overwrought and hyperbolic. But that to actually suggest that a king with unlimited power and authority, who stays in power for life no matter what happens, somehow cares about the people, is totally deranged. It is against everything we know about incentives and economics and about human history, where actually a lot of those rulers pursued their own self-aggrandizement and interests at tremendous expense to their people. And the idea that feudalism which is referring to this system of, like medieval serfs and lords and kings, is superior to modern day capitalism. It just is one of the most historically and economically illiterate things I've ever heard in my entire life. And I cover TikTok almost every day. Like, and he's making the TikTok crazies look like brilliant economists with that statement. The increase in human health, life expectancy, living standards, wealth, everything between feudal times and then post-feudal times, when capitalism and the Industrial Revolution, all these things fell, is enormous. It is tremendous. People like weirdo right-wing people who like fetishize the medieval age, I mean, they must have played too many video games and they think that's what it's actually like, or watched, I don't know, too many TV shows that just show the life of the nobility. Life was hell. A huge percentage of the children just died. right? The ones that didn't just worked in the fields. Like, I don't know how to even engage with this to some extent. That we have people. I mean, America was founded because we didn't want a king. And conservatives are supposed to want to conserve our Constitution, our principles, our founding principles. And yet you have these conservative voices like pining for monarchy. I feel lost when I listen to these people. And the fact that this is a growing movement and cadre on the modern American right, this kind of Christian nationalist, authoritarian, monarchist, I guess, is genuinely terrifying and genuinely unhinged. But other than that, Tucker is doing amazing stuff. Wow. But what do you guys think of all of that? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet, and do hit that like button while you are at it, because I suffer on this show, wading through insanity and extremism and stupidity, and I do it all for you. So the least you can do is reward my suffering by hitting that like button. And guys, that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk again real soon.